The phone shrieked, a furious sound tearing through my evening calm, a voice on the other end erupting in pure, unadulterated rage. "You monster!" she screamed. And in that moment, I knew I had crossed a line, a deeply unsettling boundary with my next words. Because I told her, quite plainly, that if she forced her daughter to carry that baby, I would personally drop it off at the fire department myself. Was this a protective instinct gone rogue or a cold, calculated act of an unforgivable nature? The accusations flew like daggers. She called me a killer, a devil, a destroyer of families. The verbal assault was relentless, a tirade that finally forced me to hang up. This is the story of how a 44-year-old mom, me, Sarah, found herself at the epicenter of a family crisis, fighting for a future she believed in. My husband, Mark, 46, and I raised our 16-year-old son, Alex, with an open mind about sensitive topics. Sex education wasn't shunned. We believed prevention didn't come from denial but from knowledge. Alex knew about condoms, Plan B, and birth control. We stressed that adulthood was the time for these decisions, but 16-year-olds, as we all know, will be 16-year-olds. The bombshell landed when Alex, usually not one for serious sit-downs, called Mark and me into the living room. My gut instantly tightened. I expected school trouble, maybe a fight, but what tumbled out of his mouth was far more profound. His girlfriend Chloe was pregnant. At 16. I hadn't even realized they were sexually active, but, as I always said, where there's a will, there's a way. Chloe had only just found out 2 days prior. A missed period led to a positive test. They'd used condoms every single time, making this news a crushing blow. She was terrified, Alex explained, adamant about not telling her parents. Not yet. My heart ached for her. I asked if Chloe would speak with us, and Alex revealed she had already asked him if she could. An hour later, she was at our door. It was only the third time I'd met Chloe, a slight, nervous girl, her face etched with a profound distress I first attributed to nerves. But then she spoke, tears welling as she described her life, a 4.0 GPA student, aiming for the highest diploma, a dream to become a psychiatrist. It was a future already so meticulously planned, so painstakingly worked for, and now, suddenly, teetering on the brink of collapse. I asked her, directly, what she some disattend to wanted to do. Her initial response was hesitant. If you wanted to be grandparents, I'd keep it. A wave of sorrow washed over me. I pushed back, gently but firmly. Don't think about us. Don't even think about Alex. Think about yourself. That's when the truth spilled out. A baby, she confessed through her tears, would absolutely decimate everything she had planned for the next decade. It was a raw, honest admission. The crushing weight of reality pressing down on a brilliant young mind. Her dreams unraveling before her eyes. I suggested options. Adoption, or considering abortion. It was a difficult conversation, full of tears, but also a glimmer of clarity. After a long talk, Chloe agreed. She would go home and tell her parents she preferred an abortion. I offered to cover the cost, knowing this was partially Alex's responsibility. The relief was palpable, a fragile hope flickering in her eyes. The path seemed clear, however difficult, but clarity is a fickle thing. The next evening, at 8 p.m., my phone rang. It was Brenda, Chloe's mom. I still don't know how she got my number, but her voice was a weapon, slicing through the receiver. "You're encouraging a killer," she shrieked. "You're telling my daughter to get rid of our grandbaby." The accusations were a brutal ambush. My initial calm fractured under the sheer force of her wrath. I tried to explain Chloe's incredible future, her dreams of psychiatry, the potential devastation of teen parenthood. I laid out the stark reality of what could happen if they broke up. A future mired in custody battles, child support, and inescapable entanglement. But Brenda wouldn't hear it. Her voice hardened, unwavering. "We want her to keep the baby. She is asterisk not having an abortion." This was the moment, the turning point, the line in the sand. Every ounce of my protective, pragmatic nature ignited. This young woman, brilliant and vulnerable, was being coerced. Her future was being dictated by someone else's desire for a grandchild. The ethical dilemma intensified. Support a teenager's right to choose her future, or yield to a family's demand for a baby, regardless of the cost. And that's when I said it. The words that still echo, the words that sparked a firestorm. "If you make your daughter carry that baby," I stated, my voice dangerously steady, "I will come in and drop the baby off at the fire department myself." The silence on the other end was momentary, a pregnant pause before the true storm broke loose. Brenda and her husband, I presume, erupted. Every insult, every vile name, every accusation of moral depravity was hurled at me. It was a tirade, designed to crush, to demonize. But my resolve, born of what I believed was justice, remained unyielding. I eventually hung up. Mark, my husband, was shaken. "Maybe we never should have talked to Chloe," he mused. "Maybe we should have let them figure it out." He wondered if we had overstepped, if our intervention had only fueled the ensuing inferno. Was this a reasonable question, or a retreat from necessary action? But my conviction burned brighter than his doubt. I love Alex dearly, but he is not ready for fatherhood. Not now. Not like this. He battles suppression, and though he manages chores, dishes, laundry, his room, it takes everything he has. We even help him. Alex is in therapy, working through his struggles, but a demanding job, let alone the relentless demands of a newborn, is utterly beyond him. I refuse to see a baby born into conditions that are anything less than ideal, especially when the parents are children themselves, struggling with their own lives. The Reddit community no doubt would be split. Some would declare YTA for my extreme words. Unacceptable, they'd shout. Others might argue NTA, seeing my action as a desperate, if radical, attempt to protect a young girl's future and prevent what I saw as a looming catastrophe. Was I the asshole for speaking such charged words, for drawing a line so stark and absolute? Perhaps. But I was fighting for what I believed was right. The question remains. In a moral landscape this fraught, where do you draw the line between protecting a future and crossing into unforgivable territory?